Now, what I'm going to do today is talk about procrastination. I know a lot of my clients really struggle with procrastination. Some people procrastinate for hours and hours or even days trying to get even a simple task done, and they don't really know why they procrastinate, but they do. Okay, let's start. Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is Andrea Allen of Secelum365.com. I am a transformational life coach. I work with professional women who are going through difficult times, times of real change, times of perhaps trauma, times where they need a little bit of extra focus. Some people will struggle with a particular issue and put it off for days and months, maybe even years. And today I want to talk a little bit about why we tend to do that. I think there are three things that we need to look at. We need to look into the past a little bit to work out why, where, how we got into the habit of procrastinating. We need to look at where we are now, and that's very simple, in a position of pain and difficulty and maybe thinking, oh my goodness, things are getting on top of me. I feel overwhelmed because I've got so much stuff to do because I've been putting things off. And then we are going to talk about 2 or 3 different tips that will bring you into a different kind of future, hopefully, by showing you maybe how you can start to overcome the procrastination. It's not a full coaching session, so it's not a full coaching course, so I can't really maybe help you to overcome everything, every single difficulty that you have in this arena, but maybe it will help you a little bit to start doing one simple task this afternoon. And if it does, then I'm very grateful and glad that I've been able to serve you. Right, now I think the important thing to recognize when it comes to procrastination is that usually we procrastinate for a reason. The important thing is to find the reason and understand it. We may not necessarily be able to neutralize it, but even just understanding it sometimes can actually get rid of the problem. I remember coaching one woman on this technique. We spent, I think, the first 2 or 3 sessions of our life coaching package looking back in her life and trying to find out what situations she'd been through that had caused her pain and how they were similar to situations she was going through now that were causing her pain and causing her to procrastinate. So there's always a reason why we do it. And usually it comes down to the subconscious mind. Everything is about the subconscious protecting us in some way. So what I'm going to do in order to illustrate that is I'm going to make myself quite vulnerable, and I'm going to talk about a situation from my own past. When I was very young, my mother was incredibly aggressive and violent. When I was tiny, she was a stay-at-home mom. She was very unhappy, and that manifested itself in aggression. She's been gone for a long time now, maybe 15 years. So I learned that if I did something wrong, if I did something in a way that she wasn't happy with, I would receive punishment. And I mean really serious punishment. And so I learned that I could never make a mistake. I could never get anything wrong, which of course is impossible, because I'm human and all humans make mistakes. All humans are going to get things wrong eventually at some point in their lives. So all kinds of situations came up during my childhood and my youth where I thought, I don't want to do this. I'm frightened to do this. Maybe I'll just leave it. Maybe I won't try it. Maybe I won't go for it, just in case I get it wrong and mum punishes me. So in my mind, procrastinating and putting something off for a very lengthy time was a way to preserve my physical self, was a way to protect myself, was a way to make sure that I wouldn't be punished. So So in my subconscious mind, procrastination was an excellent way to make sure that I wouldn't go through difficulties or pain or trauma. And as a result, I grew up as a procrastinating adult. I learned how to overcome the issue. So today, if I want to do something, bang, I'll do it straight away. But oh my goodness, it took me so long to learn the skills that I needed to be able to do that. I'm going to share a couple of these tricks that I use with you today. Hopefully they will be useful for you. They won't necessarily help you to overcome the whole issue if you do have a procrastination issue, but maybe they'll help you to get one little job done this afternoon that you were putting off for ages. You kind of need to look back a little bit in order to work out when the procrastination started, why you might be using procrastination in your life today. What are you avoiding by doing it? Now, I know that there's always some kind of benefit that we're receiving when we procrastinate. I've had people tell me, I have more time, I have more free time. When I procrastinate, that is more time that I can use for myself that normally I don't have ever, because the children are making demands of me, my boss is harassing me, he's knocking on my office door, my husband isn't present and he leaves me to do all of the homework, blah blah blah. There's just got to be some way that I can claw back a little bit of time for myself, and putting off this job is my way of doing that. Maybe you're a perfectionist and you don't want to start a task unless you can do it perfectly, and you know that because you're human, you'll never be able to do it perfectly. I mean, nobody can be perfect. That's impossible. It's impossible. You kind of need to let go of that idea of doing things perfectly. If you're a perfectionist, call me. We need to talk. Now that you've looked back, that's the first part of the process of overcoming procrastination. The second part is to look at where you are today and recognize how procrastination is affecting your life. It may be that it's affecting it in a very negative way. So we've looked at the ways in which procrastinating can help you. It can give you back free time. It can help you to avoid issues that you don't want to deal with maybe today. But at the same time, there's a negative to procrastination as well, which is that, number one, you're always really harassed thinking, I haven't got enough time in order to do so and so because I've got so many things on my to-do list because there's a lot that I haven't done over the last few weeks. Maybe you have people shouting at you because, I really need the Johnson report. Why haven't you completed it yet? You've been procrastinating over it for the last 2 weeks. It's not done yet. So now you're in a position where you have that negative feedback. You have somebody who's shouting at you. You feel pressurized. You feel stressed. You feel behind in all that you're doing. There's always a negative effect of procrastination. And also, I have had somebody actually tell me that they felt that they were showing themselves a lack of love by procrastinating because they wouldn't want to put a friend in that position where they promised to do something for them and then they just didn't do it. It would show a lack of love for that person. But they were living in that state of showing a lack of love to themselves throughout their whole lives. So now I'm going to give you a couple of tips, very simple tips, for how to deal with procrastination in the moment it happens. Okay, number one, this is something that really works for me excellently well. I manage my environment, and I manage my environment keeping certain things that are really important to me in mind. So when I say manage my environment, I mean that literally I tidy up the kitchen, which is a huge bugbear for me. I hate everything to do with the kitchen. I hate washing the plates. I hate drying the plates. I hate putting them away. I hate just fixing the taps, and I don't know, it's a mental thing. I hate all kitchen work. I love all other kind of work, but being in the kitchen makes me crazy. I love to cook. Isn't that strange? I love to cook, but I hate tidying up afterwards. But cleaning the kitchen is kind of a sign to me. I know those are really simple things. I mean, we clean the kitchen every day. I do my washing up every day, by the way. But scrubbing the counter, tidying out the cupboard, I don't do that every day. It's a ritual that I go through in order to create, in order to signal to my brain I'm creating an environment that will now allow you to do that task that you were avoiding, that creative task that was causing you so much fear. All of the important things are done. Now I can begin. I also have another little ritual that I go through only when I know that I'm procrastinating and I need to break that pattern. And it's real. I know it's really stupid, a really simple thing, but I light a joss stick, but a particular kind of joss stick. It needs to be a particular scent. I have certain scents. Rose really makes my brain come alive, or vanilla, and that calms me down a little bit and I'm more creative. I've learned what works for me to break my pattern. Or when I light the joss stick, which will take me 3 seconds, boom, it breaks that procrastinating pattern. I don't know why, but I kind of don't care why. I don't know why I don't care. It works. That's the important thing. Try and think what your pattern breaker would be. What ritual or activity or action can help you to subconsciously break that pattern. Okay, number 2. If I'm procrastinating on something that makes me feel really fearful, that makes me think, oh my goodness, if I do this and this will happen, and then, Joe will come and he will shout at me and this terrible thing will happen and then there'll be World War III. That's called catastrophizing. That's called creating a catastrophe in your mind. Nothing has changed. I've just spent half an hour agonizing over the results of this action that I have to do, over this task that I have to do. If I get it wrong, then so and so will happen, and that will cause such and such, and I've just created this terror in my mind over doing the task, but I haven't done the task. Joe hasn't come round. Nothing has happened, but I feel terrible. I'm really frightened, and now I dare not begin because all of these terrible things may happen. Yeah, I created a catastrophe out of absolutely nothing, just my thoughts. So I need to control my thoughts. So here's a technique that I use to control my thoughts. It's very simple. There's nothing difficult here, but it just helps me. I set a timer. I get my mobile phone and I set a timer for 10 minutes. 10 minutes works for me. I had a client who said, oh no, 15 minutes max, that'll do me. Somebody who said, I need a complete hour to do this. I give myself permission to catastrophize in my mind for those 10 minutes. For 10 minutes, I imagine the end of the world occurring as a result of whatever thing that I have to do that I've been putting off for 3 or 4 days. I allow myself that rather than trying to hold it in and avoid thinking about those things, maybe for days at a time, which is part of the procrastinating pattern. No, I totally give myself permission to fret. I give myself permission to feel awful, but only for 10 minutes. And as soon as the alarm goes off, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to deal with the issue. I don't know, there's something about allowing yourself to go deep into the fear, the worry, the trauma, the distress, the whatever thing it is that I've been avoiding, and then come back up out of it. I've told myself you can only do this for 10 minutes, for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, for an hour, whatever suits you. But at the end of it, this is the rule. You have to stop. You're not allowed to catastrophize anymore. That brings me to my 3rd tip, which is creating a list of baby steps. Creating a list of simple things that you can do in order to break down the full task. So if, for instance, you have to create a report, I mean, it's a really detailed report. You have to send it to 3 of your superiors. You've been fretting about it for ages. It needs hours of research. Oh my goodness, how am I going to do it? The first baby step that you write down is to choose a pen and find a piece of paper to make notes for this report. Simple. Anybody can do that. And once you've completed that step, that baby step, you can actually walk away and come back and look at the next thing on your list. So you create a series of just simple little baby steps that you can go through in order to get the task done. This has lots of different names. I use the phrase baby steps. Other people use the word chunking a task, creating little chunks that you work your way through. Other people talk about, I've forgotten the phrase, something like eating the elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So it has lots of different names, lots of different phrases, but it's all the same thing. Breaking a task down into baby steps. And each one is so tiny that there's no fear involved in taking that step. That's a really important thing. If you're a teacher, for instance, you're going to prepare one lesson class, the one that you need for next Wednesday. It's Sunday. You know, you've got a whole 4 days to do it. It's one little task. I'm just going to do one lesson plan. It will take me 25 minutes. I've got 25 minutes spare in my Sunday. I can do that. Just make it really simple. Bring it down, baby steps. That has been my little talk about dealing with procrastination. I hope you found it useful. If you would like me to serve you more, please do get in touch with me at the website, which I will place somewhere on the screen. Sesalem365.com. My name's Andrea-Lorraine Allen. You can come and visit me there, and I'll be very happy to go through a 30-minute breakthrough session with you just to check that we are compatible as coach and client. And if you want to buy one of my coaching packages, do go ahead. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great week. Bye.